Welcome to episode 629 of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord, or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting all my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, you can do that in some different ways here. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can also find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction, including my most recent one, Salsido Paranormal Experiences, which is connected to this show, this podcast. You can also sign up for Patreon and get 2 extra episodes per week, whenever possible, of true paranormal stories from the web. And so that's basically all that. Of course, you can also just make one-time donations through PayPal. And support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from research material and equipment to travel expenses in some cases. So I believe that takes care of everything now. So we can get to the stories here and go from there. Thank you all again for bearing with me this last few weeks, as I had to do some different shows and change things around a bit due to some technical issues. But hopefully now we'll be back on the usual schedule for a bit. So getting to the stories here. Let's see. Gotta go to the document. This first one says, this happened at a hotel in a town in Wisconsin. At 9:05 a.m., I heard music coming from the air conditioning system. I found this unusual, as I didn't recall this happening in other similar hotels. The music stopped at 9:20 a.m. Classical music then played, which merged with the original music, ending at 9:26 a.m. I left the bathroom and asked my brother, who was sharing the room, if he heard any odd music. He replied that he only heard beeping sounds. I was surprised by this, as I hadn't heard any beeping sounds myself. I heard the beeping sounds until 9:33 a.m. The air conditioner had been turning on and off, making unusual noises. I started hearing music in other rooms that my family was renting as well. Is this how the hotel wakes up its guests? No? Didn't really say the last word there. I'm still here at the hotel, and the music is still playing through the air conditioner system. I had recently stayed at other similar hotels that didn't have this feature. Can anyone give me an idea of what is going on here? And that's where that one ends. That is an odd one in just the place it's coming from and the way it's coming through the, I would guess, what would be an unconnected system in the building to sound. I know sound can travel through objects and devices and I'm guessing pipes and things like that, but it sounds like the writer there is pretty familiar with the usual sounds that they hear coming from that particular hotel, that hotel chain's systems. So, and it doesn't sound like it was everywhere in the hotel. It just sounds like it was in this one area. So, because they say uh, that there were other rooms in the hotel that were having this happen, but still, it's all connected to this family. I wonder if there's something to do with the family. They don't say in the post there, but I wonder if they were all there in the same hotel in the area. I wonder what they were there for. But it is odd. I mean, you could probably write it off in a way as just some kind of a problem with the electrical and or plumbing systems, maybe. But if it never happened before or after that in the hotel to anyone else, then that would make me wonder about that. But yeah, I just thought that was an odd one there. So, and I've heard of accounts of music coming from unexpected places before in houses and buildings and things, and then just coming and going and changing and all those things. So it's not totally unheard of in that way. But yeah, so thought that was a neat one to start off with for tonight. Let me get to the next one here. This one says, let me see. Better scroll down. There we go. So this one says, I had never heard of the plaid man phenomenon before this experience. And I'll go into a little bit of that after we finish this account here. I had adopted a dog from the pound the day before. I was in my living room, facing the TV, with the dog sitting in front of me. I was trying to figure out if the dog knew any tricks. The dog looked to my left, towards my bedroom door, which was 7 to 10 steps behind me. I instinctively turned to look in that direction. As I turned, I clearly saw a man in a red and black plaid shirt with cut-off sleeves. The apparition was visible from the cheek to the back of the head, including the ear, left shoulder, sternum, and entire back Caucasian arm and hand. The figure appeared to slide behind the door, as if hiding. The apparition was in full color, and appeared as solid as a real person. I was frozen in terror, unsure if someone had broken into my apartment. Being a small woman alone with a newly adopted dog, I wasn't sure if he would protect me. After about 2 seconds of running mental scenarios, I guess they mean, I managed to say a timid hello. I repeated hello after another minute. I slowly approached the bedroom door, expecting the worst, but when I got there, I didn't find anyone. I was too scared to observe the dog's reaction after the initial sighting. I attempted to recreate the scenario to see if it was my imagination, but I don't think it was. It took hours for me to calm down. I have had many other strange experiences since childhood. I'm not sure whether this was a ghost or some other specific entity. And that's where that one ends. So, that is an amazing one in that it is a whole sort of a class or division of sightings or experiences people have had over the years. I've heard a lot more about it. Most about it. If you ever look for podcasts, there's one called Strange Familiars, where they've covered a lot of that, especially in their earlier episodes. Where there's just been over the years sightings of a man wearing some kind of a plaid shirt. And sometimes the colors will be different, but it's usually the same kind of pattern. And they'll just appear or vanish or be moving around. Some people have sort of feel like that they're being watched, or there's an intelligence there. Other people that say they just saw this and then it was gone, but it's a whole thing. And I hate to sort of do a whole show on it when, like I said, there's been other podcasts that have done whole shows on it, and so you can check that out for yourselves as well. But that's not the first time I've heard of that at all. So, and it would seem odd if you've never heard of it to think that that would be something that is fairly common overall, but it is out there. So yeah, neat one there. And I guess that might be the first one for my podcast that I found. So, but moving on to the next one here. Let me see. Let me scroll down a little bit more again. And okay. Oh wait, do I have it all? Yeah. Okay. This one says. Wait. Let me see here. Nope, I scrolled down too far. Sorry about that. One moment. Okay. This one says, my grandfather passed away in April of the previous year. A week after the funeral, I went to a concert and got sick from the rain. While recovering at my grandmother's house, I noticed a balloon from my grandfather's funeral floating towards me while I was on the couch. The balloon hovered near me for about a minute, which made me feel uneasy. I called for my mom, who was also staying in the house. My mom was frightened when the balloon appeared in front of my bedroom door. The AC unit was not on at the time, ruling out air currents as a cause for the balloon's movement. The balloon seemed to follow me throughout the house. When I entered my grandmother's room, the balloon dipped down and floated into her room. I believe it might have been my grandfather checking on me, but I'm not sure if I am overanalyzing the situation. This was one of several strange occurrences that happened after my grandfather passed. A light that had been broken since my grandparents moved into the house suddenly turned on by itself one day. The TV that my grandfather had bought near where the balloons were turned on by itself as well as another time. I guess did that a couple times. My mother saw my grandfather standing over her one night, which led her to start sleeping against the wall. My mother had experienced paranormal events before this. Am I reading too much into all this? Or are these things all paranormal? And that's where that one ends. The balloon, the account of the balloon there, that's another thing I've heard of before. And in different accounts of experiences with that. Not so much necessarily, it doesn't have to be a balloon from a deceased loved one, although that is another sort of common element there in some of those experiences people have had. But these accounts of people having weird interactions with balloons moving down when maybe they shouldn't, or just moving around when there's no obvious reason for the balloon to be moving around. No real air currents to speak of. None of that going on. Yeah, DJ in the chat says, poor man finally found the time to fix that light. Yeah, could be. And so, and I wonder if, I don't know, maybe the other things that happen there make me lean towards it being more paranormal if you put it all together. I think it kind of you could see things that way. So I don't know. That's a really neat one there because, like I said, I've heard of that before on different podcasts over the years of balloons acting in weird ways, and sometimes it is tied um, to after happening after someone had passed. Other times it's just there doesn't seem to be any reason for it, and it just will move. And I think the implication there is someone or some unknown or unseen being or force or energy is moving the balloon around on its own. So it's being that balloon is being manipulated. So yeah, static can be funny too. Yeah, in the chat there, DG says, yeah. So I don't know. It's weird. If it was just the balloon, then maybe I could sort of write that off. But yeah, the other things going on around the same time that makes me wonder about that. But of course, I have no idea. But moving on to the next one here. Let's see here. Let me make sure. Okay. This one says, I've had a few paranormal experiences in my life. The first one happened when I was 8 or 9 years old, and my family and I were living in Mexico. I was home alone, cleaning the house, which was something I liked to do. I've always liked organizing and cleaning. I heard voices calling my name. When I checked, I didn't find anyone inside the house. Not long after that, while in 4th grade, I was at school after hours, around 6 or 7 p.m., with my dad. While in the middle of the basketball court, I heard whispering and a shushing sound from the large trees nearby. The sounds then came from the roof of a nearby classroom. I ran to my father out of fear. This latest experience happened just after my grandfather passed away. Our family had been living in the US for about 12 years at this point. We were renting a house, sharing a small room with other people. The room had a wide window with a view outside. On the night of my grandfather's passing, I couldn't sleep and was very sad, of course. Around 1 or 2 a.m., I saw an orb outside the window. It was white and moved in circles around the window. It was baseball-sized, cotton-like, with a blue flame-like bottom. It flew away after that. And that's where that one ends. So I wonder, it sounds like either they always, everywhere they went, there was something going on, or they were somewhat sensitive to things. So you have a lot of audio going on there, although the audio moving from the ground level to the building level, that's pretty amazing in a way. But then you have the orb, so I don't know. Some of the orbs, I for years I always just heard of lights being one color or even changing colors, but being like the solid color the whole time. But now it seems like after doing the show for a little while, sometimes they can appear to have multiple colors in the same thing. Like that one account there, it was white, but it had like a blue tone to the bottom of it, almost like a flame. I would wonder, and of course, there's no way to know this, and I wouldn't recommend it anyway. I would wonder if it gave off any heat around it in the immediate area. I'd be curious about that. If it was if the blue was a because of heat, or if it was for some other reason. So let's see if we can get one more done here. One more into this show here before I have to call it for this one. And let's see here. And it's a shorter one, so that's good. This one says, I am open-minded to the supernatural, but not a believer. My mother passed away last year, and my father passed about 7 years ago. My brother and I are trying to sell our parents' house in a difficult market. We spent 6 months cleaning, I'm sorry. Oh no, it says clearing. Redecorating and recarpeting the house. We put up some pictures, including a sepia street scene that we joked that our mother would hate. Last week, I visited the house to check security. I found that same painting propped into up in the corner of a bedroom on its edge. The picture appeared to have been deliberately placed there. My brother lives hundreds of miles away and hadn't been in the house. The only other person with a key is the real estate agent who hadn't visited. I put the picture back on the wall and left. Today, I returned to the house and found the picture back in the corner, propped back up on the edge again. It's impossible for the picture to fall, travel across the room, and end up neatly in the corner. I think it might be my mother making a point about the picture she wouldn't like. I'm not frightened, but is this kind of event considered normal? And I would answer, I don't think so. That's a neat one to me because even as they were putting up this painting, these two brothers were laughing about how it was not something that their mother would have liked at all. And then they go away, and I'm guessing they don't live anywhere near this house. And they come back, and that exact painting is the one that's been taken down, apparently, and set aside. Everything else is still up, except for that one painting. It cracked me up when I first found that post because it seems like it's just I can almost see like a movie of some kind of apparition, see through or whatever, or just see the picture floating down from the wall and just being put in the corner because the mother is still there and saying, "No, I don't like this. This is not going to be. This doesn't need to be here." And so I thought that was amazing, an amazing account there, and it happened not once but twice. Not to mention that it didn't just fall; it didn't just appear to fall and then land right where it fell. So, I thought that was a neat one, and the fact that the writer there isn't frightened, they and their brother think it's their mom, just showing that she didn't like that picture. So, I thought that was neat. I like those sort of accounts where nothing serious, nothing major happens, nothing terribly frightening, no harm, just sort of people from the past that may still be there in some way, and seeing changes being made to what was their home and disagreeing with them and taking care of them, changing things back. So that's all the time I have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.